Thank you so much. I'm from Zurich, but I work in Bern, and I will talk to you today about what we're doing with SCION. Why am I here? We're in the Chancellery, Bundeskanzlei, which means we have a cross-function. We're in the steering part of the IT, not the beat, the ones that do all the execution. So in my department, I have transformation and interoperability. I have the cloud strategy, the data center strategy, the network strategy, those kinds of things are done by my team. And what's the common thread? What's keeping me sort of awake at night these days is sovereignty. So my first picture, is it clicking? There. My first picture is this, a potato. I thought I'd bring this because we talk a lot about digital sovereignty in my work. I worry a lot about what does Switzerland have to be able to do on its own? How do we rely on different partners internationally? And I find that our discussion is quite political. I graduated from here. My PhD is from ETH, so I am a technical person. But more and more often, I'm talking about politics. And I'm realizing that the public and maybe our politicians don't know enough about technology yet to have a sophisticated dialogue about sovereignty. This is in stark contrast to potatoes or cows or anything else that is about food sovereignty or our food security. We have a much more evolved dialogue regarding how many potatoes should Switzerland grow themselves and how many should we import and who should we be importing it from than we do about the digital world. So today, it's a good reminder to everybody to go vote so that we get some digital people into the Nationalrat, by the way, the Ständerat. Tomorrow's the last day to send in your vote by mail. Sorry, had to bring that today. So, so what is the Bundesadministration doing, the federal administration doing with SCION? I've brought 3 slides to talk to you about what we have done, what we are doing, what we will be doing. So one thing that got a lot of publicity, is we have a cloud strategy. We have a multi-hybrid cloud strategy. That means that we want to have some cloud technology on-premise. We want to have some cloud technology with the hyperscalers. And we don't want just one hyperscaler because, as we heard from the Nationalbank, we do not want a vendor lock-in. So about a year ago, I was able to lead the negotiations with 5 hyperscalers. Then we had a request for tender, and we call that WTO's 2007 was the number. So we had parallel negotiations with Alibaba, Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, and Oracle. And one priority we had, apart from making sure that we were able to audit them all and do all these other things about data safety, was SCION. So we insisted that SCION is part of the contracts that we negotiated. So today, all 5 hyperscalers in their contracts with the federal government have a clause that if we want to have any access via SCION to them, they are required to receive that and build that up on their part. So, thank you. It was a pretty hairy negotiation, so I really appreciate that a lot. So that's been running. The signatures were about a year ago. We have the first 3 published projects that are using this. We do not have any signed projects yet, but the contractual ability is there. We sometimes do have to work on the foundations before we can, run ahead. So what is active right now is we are working on a study, a pretty extensive study, where we are examining 4 different use cases for SCION. How could we, as the federal administration, use SCION? So one is for WAN, closed user groups. So as the federal administration, we communicate a lot as well with the cantons, with cities, with the Gemeinden. Sorry about that, do not know what that is in English. So how would we do this securely? How could we use SCION to do this? What data exactly needs to flow from us from the federal administration to the various cantons and what has to flow from them to us. We're analyzing that. The hyperscaler link I just said, this is the use case that is probably least understood. Like when would we not use our very fat cables that go straight from Bern to each one of the hyperscalers? Why would we use the internet? I don't know yet, but we're going to look at that. So the other one is the application server, was mentioned before. How about our employees that love working in their home office? As a matter of fact, almost impossible to get them back into the office. So wouldn't it be great if the SCION were the link for all that? This is being looked at very, very closely. And then we have 2 POCs in the domain for closed user groups for international. There was one in 2018 to Berlin. That one was a technical POC and it works, and then was shut down again because there was just not enough use. However, there's another one, thanks also to the Schweizerische Nationalbank, that we can use their infrastructure, and it goes to Seoul, to South Korea. And that one's been was set up in 21-22 and is continuing to run, and we're evaluating performance, especially there. So what are the things that we're going to be examining in this study? The study is ongoing right now. We don't have the results yet. But we do insist, as the federal administration, if we actually do roll it out, we have to have market-ready solutions. We can't just buy a technology or an individual product. We need to be able to procure it, of course. We must have a certain market maturity in order to, once it's no longer a test case or a POC, we do need the maturity with SLAs, with all that. We also have 2 IP technologies, IP4 and IP6, in use, so it needs to work with both of those. We need to have the mobile sites, home offices, etc. All the testing needs to be done. We have to make sure that our metadata is also protected, which of course is the case with SCION. And very attractive for us is the robustness against cyber attacks. The DDoS case, of course, being the one that's talked about most. There we really need to see what can we protect from exactly. We have a lot of our own networks where we don't need SCION because we don't go out onto the internet for much of our communication. However, if the citizens want to access information, then we would like them to be able to reach it and not be susceptible to DDoS attacks like we saw at the beginning of the Ukraine war. And then all the other good stuff, the path redundancy, provider redundancy, fallback solutions, power resilience, there we're back in the whole question about digital sovereignty. We do not want the lock-in, we want openness as much as possible. So the third thing that's going on, I promised you 3 things. The third thing that's going on, there's a postulate. That's when somebody thinks that the federal administration should look at something more, in more depth. So the postulate was written sometime, I think, in June, and it has gone through, it was from the Sicherheitspolitische Kommission, the SIK, from the Nationalrat. I'm so sorry, I really don't know all these expressions in English. So that requested the following postulate. It says, the Federal Council is instructed to show which technologies can be applied to the secure internet data traffic against cyber attacks. And the focus is, as I said before for the study, our federal administration, our Bundesnahe Betriebe, so the affiliated companies, the cantons, and the public for critical areas and critical information. Then it has to have, there needs to be a specific report. It has to show the relationship between the cost of technology and the benefits. And what will be especially interesting for people in this room is that it's probably the very first postulate that anybody can remember where technology was mentioned by name. So it says, a focus will be placed on the open communication standard SCION. And ETH is mentioned, which is also very unusual. So whoever wrote that and lobbied for that did a very good job. Don't know if that person's in the room, but congratulations. And it actually puts in a little promotional plug. This standard enables network participants to control the path of their data packets. This is, for anybody who wants to look it up, the little sort of brownish number there is the number of the postulate. Right now, it has been recommended by the Bundesrat that it be accepted. The Nationalrat has also said that they is deliberating it, and then it will go to the Ständerat. And I will close my speech by saying, if you'd like politicians who understand this stuff, please do vote this Sunday.